What's happening, Cheesecake Nation? It's your old pal, Super Chudge Funk, and the Dave, blasting at you with a video we've been meaning to do for a little while, and that's talking about the new Spider-Man reboot that's supposed to be coming out soon, integrating into the MCU. We're going to talk about how we feel in both our own different ways.
Because first we're going to talk about things we don't want to see, and then at the end of the video we'll both pitch exactly what we do want to see. So right off the bat, I think we're both in agreement. You don't need Green Goblin.
No.
I would be okay if they do 3 movies and we don't get Green Goblin. I think we need to push him back. We've seen him enough. I think there's other villains we haven't seen. I would rather see Ock than Goblin. I don't want to see Ock at all. So, like, to me, if I saw Goblin, it would be a direct turn off to the movie. I'd be like, oh. But Ock, I'd be like, man, I wish they wouldn't do that. Goblin, ew. Like, I would directly just be like, no, they should not have done that.
Yeah, I will agree to that. This 2 characters ever overdone. Green Goblin specifically. It's good, and just because the second Spider-Man movie did Ock, and that was an amazing performance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to see it right now. I think you could do it later on. You could do some good stuff with it, but
definitely not in the first movie, at least.
Yeah, I think if you're going to give us Goblin, you should go Ultimate Goblin, and I'm not even really that into Ultimate Goblin, but just to be something different. I mean, I know a lot of people are probably like, no, I want actual comic Green Goblin. I want rubber suit Goblin. I'm like, do you? I mean, it could work, but I don't know. I mean,
could you really take a man in, like, purple...
a purple dress, green bodysuit,
freaking purple mankini and a purse, flying around chucking pumpkins at people?
Yeah, I mean, it could work, but it would be like, how do you want to set up your movie tone-wise? And it doesn't fit in the tone of the Marvel Universe, really. I mean, you had some kind of goofy villains, but none of them that have been walking around like that. I mean, I think if you wanted to do that, you're going to end up with a variant on the Green Power Ranger again. So another thing, I know I'm personally, but I'll let Chudge speak on it after I put it out. I want them to back off on the relationship drama, at least in the first movie. I think we saw enough with Gwen. We definitely saw too much with MJ in the other movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it works in certain ones. I don't think Gwen and Peter dragged down Amazing Spider-Man, but it was like, I just don't care.
Yeah. Especially because this is supposed to be a younger Peter. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we'll just, if we do see MJ...
Yeah, I would have no problem with it. Like, yeah, if we see MJ and we know he has a crush on her, and that's the only relationship stuff we get. Maybe he saves her at some point, but that's it. Yeah,
exactly. Like this, he should not be in a relationship right now. If we want him to go, especially if he's going to be in Civil War at all, or if he's going to be into the Avengers, him being in a relationship wouldn't make any sense, because that's what it was like in the comics.
Yeah.
And we don't need to get into that whole,
I just feel like it's too much time spent on a movie that needs to set up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to do it later on down the line, because, like, that's been my answer when it comes to Miles Morales. If somewhere down the line you want to introduce him, cool. Same thing with relationships. You want to do it down the line, go for it. But I think you need to set up a lot, especially because apparently Sony really wants Robert Downey Jr. to be in the first movie. Like, that's their introduction to Spider-Man, as him, like, as a homemade, low-ground superhero, just trying to do, like, his own thing, and then, like, he meets Iron Man, and that's how things change for him. So we don't have space in that movie, really, for relationship drama.
Yeah.
Especially in my pitch of the movie. So, other things I don't want to see, Uncle Ben. I think you can get a reference, but that's all I really need.
I mean, obviously they're not going to do the origin story, which is good. Obviously, we're most likely going to get a reference to what happened. Maybe, like, I can picture it being like a thing, like maybe like a quick little flashback, and then like he wakes up, and then like he goes and does Spider-Man things.
If he did something questionable, and you get a scene of him standing by Uncle Ben's grave, kind of just debating like what he did and whether or not, like, especially if you want to do it like going after Civil War, did he make the right choice, or did he make a mistake in the movie and then make the right choice? Yeah. Kind of thing. So
exactly.
That could definitely work. I don't need to see Uncle Ben die.
Yeah.
I think Peter needs to be over that. Nothing with his parents. Nobody gives a shit about that storyline. I've already put that out in multiple videos, that storyline was going nowhere fast. No one cared about it in the 90s. No one cared about it in the 90s cartoon. No one cared about it in Amazing Spider-Man. Nobody cared even less about it in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So just, no. Nobody cares. Somewhere down the line, if that's something you want to do, okay. Let's say things in the... Let's say they do a trilogy. What would you want to see in the trilogy? Like, it doesn't have to be in the first movie. I think we need to see Felicia Hardy.
Absolutely. I was going to say Black Cat needs to be a part of the Spider-Man movies, because she's an interesting character. And she's a pretty big a part of Peter's life, you know? Mm-hmm. She was always that other girl that he kind of was always... Like,
that constant threat to Mary Jane. Like, does he go for the woman he's loved his entire life, or does he make the easy choice that Black Cat would be? I mean, they're doing the same things. Yeah. Life would be a lot easier for him if he just went with her.
I mean, not so easy because she's a criminal, which makes it that. Plus, that would make it interesting. I mean, she's basically the ripoff of Catwoman, so it's that same sort of dynamic.
Like, yeah, I guess Spider-Man and Batman are quite different characters, though.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, like how that kind of relationship is kind of still there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Felicia's definitely a character. Is it? I think she's at the top of my list of the characters that I need to see.
Before we get a reboot of the Lizard, I think we need Kurt Connors.
Yeah.
I think we just need to introduce him as a close friend of Spider-Man. I think...
Kind of like what they did in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. Kind of. Like, we need to see people in Spider-Man's lives. Like, I think he's the one to do. I think Harry's been done to death. Like, obviously he has to be in the story somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't think he needs to be anything special.
Yeah, you can just make it like in the cartoon. Have Harry be dating MJ at the time.
Yeah. Like
in the comics, or in the cartoons, because that's usually how it starts. And if you want to do something with Harry later on, where he gets all pissed off and angsty, you know, like Dave said, just do it later on. But that's not a thing you do in the first movie.
Another thing I want to see, Man-Spider. I kind of want to see them do that. Tackle that kind of idea of further mutations and stuff like that.
That would be interesting.
I don't want to see it in the first movie, but somewhere down the line, I think you can do something with that.
That's how you introduce Kraven.
Yeah, I mean, you can do Kraven with that. I think Kraven is not strong enough to do his own movie on. I'll just put that out there.
Absolutely.
So, villains we don't want to see in the first movie, but probably deserve a spot in the movies later on. Chameleon,
yeah, he's cool.
I definitely like to see
very underrated.
Yeah, I would think it would be really cool to do Chameleon Kraven as a combo for a movie.
That would be really cool.
Because I think, well, I mean, I'm pretty damn sure they're related. I mean, I know they're both Russian. I think they have the same last name. I'm not 100% sure.
Remember in the cartoon, fucking Electro was the Red Skull's son, and Chameleon was like his stepson for some weird reason.
Huh. I'm pretty sure that's not canon.
Yeah, I know. I just remember that. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't think that was in the comics.
I would like to see a new take on Rhino. I don't want to see the power armor Rhino. I'd like to see more of a take on like Abomination with the Rhino. I just didn't like the power armor look. It's just kind of goofy. Like, I guess you could make it work somehow, but not the way they did it in the movie where he's on all fours and running around like an actual Rhino. Like he's just a fucking Rhino.
I'm pretty sure that's Ultimate Rhino. Except that Ultimate Rhino is just like a little nerdy dude in
well, there was
if I'm not mistaken,
another Rhino in the 616 that standard Rhino kills.
Right.
And he had power armor, I'm pretty damn sure.
Okay. But yeah, trying to think other characters.
A new take on classic Electro could potentially work, but it's got to be down the line. I think they did so much damage into that character in the new movie.
Yeah.
They just kind of made him super goofy, and I don't know. Kingpin, I would definitely like to see. I don't know how the rights would work to that. I don't know if D'Onofrio is down to play, multiple movie deal. I don't know what his contract is for.
It'd be fun because what the hell are they called? They're like a little weird mobster gang, a bunch of goofballs. Spider-Man fights them. They're like, I can't remember their name. I saw that they were in a cartoon very recently.
The Frightful Four.
No. Like they're like mobsters. Like God, put them in the comments below, guys, if you remember their names. Like this, I think they're rednecks, but they're also like gangsters. And they were like really old characters, like really, really old, and like they had friggin' forgotten for a while. And I remember, like it's one of the in the newer Spider-Man cartoons. I'm pretty sure it was Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, I think I remember what you're talking about, but yeah, I mean they could.
That'd be funny for just like a little like quick little knocking out the bat, kind of like what Batroc was in Cap 2.
I mean, I'm always down for that. Like especially like a second movie just to show he's like advancing.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. I'd like
personally, I'd like to see some of the more like colorful kind of goofy characters, your kangaroos, your armadillos, those kind of guys. I don't know if Armadillo is considered a Fantastic Four character though. I mean, I'm sure Spider-Man's rogue gallery is very deep on stupid characters. I mean, they have their own Boomerang. They have a lot of stupid characters. The Walrus, a character with the direct power of a walrus, his size, so he's actually weaker than a normal person. But he's like resistant to cold. He's just a big fat guy. I think that would be a funny character just to see like him screwing around. I'd like to see Squirrel Girl in these movies, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
I think just a cameo from Squirrel Girl, like she becomes a fan of Spider-Man and wants to become her own superhero. Like, it would make my day if Avengers Part 4 rolls around and Squirrel Girl's the one that beats Thanos. Like a squirrel shorts out the Infinity Gauntlet.
You can only hope.
And then she just proceeds to beat the hell out of Thanos, like off screen during the credits. If Avengers 4 like ends, goes to credits, mid-credit scene, Squirrel Girl beating him. Like the Avengers will return. Thank you, Squirrel Girl.
Alright. Characters that we think should lead in the first movie.
I'll give my pitch first. I think the way you start out Spider-Man is you got to have him as just kind of like a dumb punk kid that's just trying to do the right thing, but he's not really connected. He doesn't get it. And I think that's where he's got to save somebody. And I would almost even go so far as to say you could do Mary Jane as the person he saves, and she's like working as an actress, as a young actress in New York, and that's how you bring in Mysterio. Spider-Man saves her, and you find out that like the stunt show would have actually killed her if he set it off. Like, he did it wrong, gets fired. Now he's pissed off at Spider-Man. He goes after Spider-Man. J. Jonah Jameson's been following it the entire time, and he's like, what a mess. And then you get like a kind of lackey creep, Matt Gargan. He works for the paper. He's digging through, dumpsters and stuff looking for dirt to try to sell the newspaper. Everybody knows he's like just like the worst kind of human being possible. I think it'd be cool if you can get Charlie Cox in to do a cameo where he like beats the hell out of him. Then he comes into the Daily Bugle with like a black eye, and he's got like a bunch of legal papers from like the garbage that are all shredded up, and he's trying to sell them to JJ. And then Spider-Man is going to beat Mysterio about a little bit before the halfway point, and it's got to be something big and flashy with a lot of property damage. Do whatever you want to do. Some cool special effects there. JJ decides he wants to try to create his own superhero to beat the Spider-Man, because he views Spider-Man as the bad guy this entire time. No matter like what the Avengers are saying, he's trying to spin what happened with the Avengers in Avengers 2 or Civil War, because I think Spider-Man happens after Civil War. He's trying to spin all this stuff, and he's trying to create his own superhero, so he gets Mac Gargan to become the Scorpion, and that is who I think should lead your first movie. Scorpion doing big Scorpion stuff. I don't know why he hasn't had a movie yet. He's created, like, he is everything you could do with Doc Ock, you can do with Scorpion. Like, it's just one-armed Doc Ock, pretty much. I think you give him his, like, goofy acid spring tail as opposed to, like, the hook spike thing. And I'd go, like, the classic all-green, heavily armored. I mean, he's stronger and faster than Spider-Man, but he doesn't have the spider sense, and he's not very bright. And then he gets defeated. And then at the very end of the movie, you can hint about possibly doing something with Venom. I wouldn't do him in 2, but I think that's where you want to start setting it up. And then, obviously, Iron Man comes in. He's like, I saw what you did, kid. Blah, blah, blah. Spider-Man will return. Alright, so, Chudge, what's your...
Now, I don't know about Mysterio, but I definitely like the idea for Scorpion. Like, I feel like Mysterio... I don't know how well Mysterio would work. Just because he's just one of those kind of weird characters that... I don't know, like, it's hard to explain. I do feel, like I said, Scorpion, 100%. I feel like you could throw in Felicia Hardy, as, like, a burglar.
Yeah, I mean, you could always do hints towards her. I don't know about putting her in the first movie, because I feel like that's just too many characters in one movie. Which is, like, my Batman v Superman. Like, worry is that you're going to not get enough time with these characters. I mean, you could do something with Felicia. You could have stuff in the newspaper. Like, I wouldn't have an issue if, like, the end credit scene was literally Spider-Man stopping Felicia from stealing something.
Yeah.
And, like, they're about, like, fighting. And then, like, she's about to fall off a building. He catches her, and then she, like, kind of like a romantic little moment. That's the scene.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any characters that I'm not thinking of. Like, Rhino, I feel like, could be a good one, like, if they did it more like a traditional...
Yeah, we kind of just saw it, though, so I can't imagine it being a first movie kind of thing. I mean, some of the other characters, you got Hobgoblin, you got Vulture, you got, like, the Goofy...
Vulture might be interesting, like, especially if... I don't know, like, I feel like you said, if we were going to do something like that, they kind of have to throw Tony in there.
Yeah.
Or, like, maybe something that has to do with Falcon, like...
Yeah.
Like, they talk about it, like, they obviously the nod to the Captain America series and the Vulture. I don't know how, but you have to do it in a weird way because Vulture's like this old bastard.
Yeah.
So maybe bring in something...
I mean, he could be the creator of Falcon's tech.
That's true.
And he could also be working on his age thing.
That's true.
Or he's trying to absorb the youth out of somebody. So you could make him a scientist. So I think if you were to go that way, you could do some cameos. You could have, like, Alistair Smythe.
Yeah, Alistair Smythe would be a good one. The Taker would, if you're teaming up with heroes, the villains to, like, make, like, the Scorpion armor or the Vulture's wings and, shit like that. Like, he would be an interesting little character. He probably wouldn't be doing any fighting or anything, but... He'd be just this little old man that Spider-Man never expects to be, like, the big guy behind everything.
Alright, so you want to do Vulture in your movie?
Yeah, I think Vulture and Scorpion would be interesting.
Yeah, I think Scorpion is the guy to do. I think he's big and strong enough to scare Spider-Man, but he's stupid enough to lose in the end.
Yeah. Beetle wouldn't be too bad either.
Yeah, you could do Beetle. I think, like, the new versions of Beetle and the Ultimates is, like, quite a bit smarter, though.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm thinking of, like, Abner Jenkins, the original Beetle, and he wasn't...
You know who we're completely forgetting about, who would be a great character, especially after Civil War? Taskmaster.
I just don't know how the rights worked on that. Like, can they use Marvel's villains in a Spider-Man movie? Like, would they let that happen?
I don't know.
Because personally, I would really love to see Taskmaster, but I kind of want to save him, because I really want to see Taskmaster and Daredevil fight. Because, like, they're going to move away from Kingpin Season 2, I assume, because he's in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of have to... I guess that's kind of a spoiler, but who didn't think... Like, what? The hero wins in the end? bullshit. So yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I suppose you're right about that.
credit scene somewhere where like you see him downloading like everybody. I guess it could work, where you have like him watching like literally videos from the Avengers, Avengers 2, Daredevil, Iron Fist. You know, all these guys. He's learning like their fighting styles.
Yeah.
And, like that's how he's fighting Spider-Man. Like if they wanted to get up the rights like that.
Yeah.
I just don't know if Marvel would do that. Like I don't know how friendly they are with Sony. Like they're obviously pretty damn friendly, but.
Who knows how long that friendship like extends to, but
because there's a couple characters I think would work really well in Spider-Man movies, and I guess they could save them. Like I'd like to see Constrictor. I don't know, like cause I always liked the Constrictor Diamondback Taskmaster relationship they had in the Initiative. I want to say was what the comic series was. It was part of Dark Reign, but like. It just really worked. You get Diamondback, who has a crush on Captain America. Constrictor has a crush on Diamondback. And Taskmaster's just, like, starting to move up in the world, and, like, those are his friends.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, that could be a kind of a fun little dynamic. And they have kind of cool powers. I mean, Diamondback is effectively, like, a throw-in stuff kind of character. Almost like a Bullseye Light. Constrictor has like the constricting tentacles, but he can also like use them to cut through things and crush stuff. Like he's held the Hulk in bay with his thing, so he's pretty damn tough. And then obviously Taskmaster, anything he sees, he can effectively do. He has a photogenic reflexes, I think is what it's called.
That's what it's called.
Yeah. So I think if you want to do those three, just like as a elite team, I think it'd be really cool if you did Spider-Man with Kingpin in jail. And like him trying to get his revenge, and like they go out to find Daredevil and they find Spider-Man.
That would be
because like the only thing they really know is he's a guy in a red suit and a mask.
That would be really funny.
And then you get your Daredevil cameo at the end.
That would be really cool. I like that idea a lot.
Because I think even more than like, because I know like the big joke's been going around like having a scene with Daredevil and Captain America, where Captain America beats like 8 people and nobody's hurt, and Daredevil fights one guy and he like breaks every bone in his arm. Like I just think like the Daredevil Spider-Man, if you kept Spider-Man really young and you kept Daredevil as dark as he's been going, like that could be a really fun little relationship to play off of.
Yeah. It'd be almost kind of like Flash and Green Arrow dynamic.
I think you could do some good, fun stuff with that. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to see all the Defenders. In all honesty, like if they could get Spider-Man or the Defenders in Spider-Man, one way or the other, I think that could be a really fun relationship because those are like his guys, those are street level guys. I don't think Netflix could really like. This is my biggest concern about Iron Fist is like how much money they have put aside for special effects. Like, could they do all the webbing and sticking to walls, flying through the air? Because you're not kind of the same issue with Iron Fist, except flaming fists punching through walls and stuff. I mean, I guess they could sincerely like just tone him way down and just be like he's just a really tough guy, just like Daredevil, and he has one super punch.
Right.
But I don't know. That's not the series I want to see. I want to see, you know, the immortal Iron Fist Danny Rand just beating the shit out of people, catching bullets out of the air. Like, I don't know. So where would you want to see Spider-Man violence-wise? Do you want to be more like kind of toned down and fun like the Avengers, or do you want to see?
Oh, absolutely. Because that's what Spider-Man is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same boat. Like, I think you have to do Spider-Man with a light tone. Don't do dark gritty. That's what screwed up Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that's like we said before. The parts where Spider-Man is Spider-Maning in Amazing Spider-Man 2 was great.
Like, if you had literally just had, like, took everything out with Harry, took everything out with Electro, and it was just Spider-Man, like, fucking around with the Rhino, like, that was all great. I don't like as stupid as the Rhino was, and it was kind of like campy and cheesy and stuff. But like that is Spider-Man. Like
that's what he does. Like
Yeah.
Like, I saw a thing, it was like a part of the comics right after Superior Spider-Man. And, it's right after Peter Parker comes back, I think. And he says something to Green Goblin about him carrying around, a purse. And he's like, it's you. The real you. And it's like the look on Goblin's face was like, oh my god, it was hysterical.
I mean, you just have to have fun with Spider-Man. Like, it should definitely be your counterpoint to the Netflix series. Like, anything you would do in the Netflix series, do the opposite with Spider-Man. Like, oh, I want to show super violent, arm-breaking, super badass kung fu.
Yeah. If you, at one point, want to make Spider-Man lose his cool, and then, realize, he beats the shit out of, one of his opponents to an inch of his life, and then he realizes he's made, a huge mistake. And, that's how he grows. That's fine, because they did it in the comics, and that's just how Spider-Man, matured, I suppose. But he still stayed goofy and funny.
Yeah, if your movie should be as funny as the Avengers, but more lighthearted. That's what you should be going for. Just kind of cheesy one-liners. If you want to do dark and gritty, only do dark and gritty with his villains. Spider-Man should never be dark and gritty. I would even stay kind of away from people dying, Uncle Ben. Even though Uncle Ben happy. That's how he should be, during happy times. I don't need to see brooding anybody in the damn movie. Unless you want to do a brooding villain. And I don't think Scorpion should be brooding. He's not that smart.
No.
Mysterio could brood for a bit, but I think it'd be funnier just to see him, dinking around and just see, kind of the cool stuff you can do with the special effects.
Yeah.
So I don't really care to see that. If you want to do Vulture, do him more upbeat. You don't need to drag it down with, I'm, a whisper away from death's door, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to die. Nobody wants to see that. That's depressing. Do it happy, do it upbeat, and you can keep, if you want to do anybody, try to bring in D'Onofrio's Kingpin. And he could be kind of your counterpoint, and he's bringing out, all these assassins to try to take out the man in the red suit, and then just have fun stuff with that. So, anything else you really want to talk about in this video?
If you guys are gonna do Venom, don't fuck him up, or I will find you.
Yeah. Don't do anything you did with the last Venom with this Venom.
I will shit my pants and then throw it at the fucking screen.
That was...
you have no idea how much... Venom is my favorite comic book character. I fucking love Venom. Eddie Brock, Venom. I like Matt Gargan Venom. I love Flash as Agent Venom. It's a character that transcends its own being. The Venom symbiote brings out a character in such a different way that's different for every person it's on. It's different. It was different for Spider-Man. When he was on it, it made Eddie Brock a staple character in Spider-Man's life, and still is now that he's Toxin.
Well, here's my only issue with doing Venom is how exactly do you do it? Do you do the asteroid falling from space thing?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It didn't work in Spider-Man 3. You want people to think about Spider-Man 3. I mean,
I know, but
I could see it working is if they tied it into Guardians of the Galaxy. You did something where when they're on Earth to fight Thanos, something got loose. And you kind of hinted at it in Guardians or in the last Avengers. You just kind of see, a collection of quills, random shit on the ship, and, you see a broken vial or something. That's all you would need.
I mean, even if they, throw that into Spider-Man, kind of like what happened in the cartoon, where, they went people, was it J. Jonah Jameson's son?
Yeah.
Came back. Something like that. Rip off the cartoon. I don't care. Everyone loved that version of Venom.
Yeah, I guess you could see something like that. That would be a good use for Tony if he wants to build space armor. And, he's got some freaking goo on him.
And then, if you guys do a good Venom, then we can talk about Carnage. I'm not even going to touch on Carnage, because you have to do Venom before you can do that.
And I think you got to get out of like whatever your main story arc you want to go with. Like it should be your secondary story arc, whether it's tying Spider-Man to the Netflix series. That could be something you could do. I know the direct, obvious thing is to tie it into Avengers, and I'm like, maybe we'll see how he does in Civil War. I'm kind of the opinion it's like, yeah, he's an Avenger, but so is Wolverine, and they're just there because they're popular characters. Like they're not really, they don't add to the team dynamic. If anything, in Wolverine's case, he kind of drives it down. I don't like Wolverine personally. If you love Wolverine, send me a message in the comments about why I'm wrong and Wolverine's the best. But
I'm one of those people, like, I like Wolverine, but I completely understand why people hate and despise him.
I think he's just the fucking worst. I would rather read literally almost anybody. Like, Wolverine and Superman, like the two ones I struggle to try to get through. Like, if they show up in an issue, I'm just like, shut up. Especially New 52 Superman.
That's a topic for another day, big guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Scorpion's your guy to do it. I think tying into Defenders as opposed to Avengers is the way to go.
Right.
I think he ties into that universe way more. I think moving away from relationship, easy. Just kind of back it up a little bit. I mean, you can do it later. Nothing says you can't hint it. You can't show Peter ogling some girl that he likes, whether she's obvious blonde or obvious redhead, in whichever story arc you want to go. I guess that's something to see. Do we, somewhere down the line, need to see Death of Gwen Stacy again?
Nah.
I say, kind of. If you want to go into MJ, I mean, you could go directly into it, I guess. I'd never do Gwen. But I think what Amazing Spider-Man failed to do, and like what it obviously didn't understand about the character, was it changed Spider-Man. It didn't turn him into a crybaby who stopped fighting crime. It made him a better superhero. It's kind of like the same people that complain about when Batgirl was shot in the spine. It made her a better character. If you want to do a serious Batman with Batgirl in it, she needs to be crippled, to become Oracle, to become the best version of herself. I think the same thing. Gwen has to die. Like, I understand that's kind of like a shitty thing to introduce a character just to die to better someone else. But I think you need that step in Spider-Man's life. Whether it's something, I don't think you could gloss over if you want to do high school, Peter. I don't think that's a thing you could really do.
Yeah.
Alright, to end this video real quick, we'll do a little rundown of all the characters we've seen in the movies and whether or not we think moving forward we need to see them again. Goblin, we already said, maybe somewhere down the line, but not right now.
Not in the first two movies.
Ock, I think somewhere down the line. If they want to do Sinister Six, that's where I'd introduce them. Maybe movie 3.
Yeah.
Sandman, I say no. I don't think he works cinematically.
No.
Same issue I'd have with Hydro Man. Any of those kind of characters that just, you have to explain way too much to the audience to make them work. Yeah. Venom, yeah, I'd say movie 4, maybe.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Because somewhere where you can get out of like whatever your main story arc you're going for, your movies, and then your next story arc could be symbiotes, Spider-Man, life decisions and such.
Yeah. Electro.
Well, first you got Lizard.
Whatever.
Yeah. I think we need to see Lizard done as the actual Lizard.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell he was in Amazing Spider-Man 1. And Electro,
I don't know.
if we saw like classic Electro, I think I'd be more down to see it. Like, obviously you'd have to do something with his costume. It's just a little too goofy, but I think there's other cooler spider rogues than Electro.
Yeah. I feel like he's in that same boat as like Sandman.
I mean, I think you could do Electro, but it's like, it's harder to do than it deserves.
Right.
Spot in the movie. I just don't think there's any way to do Sandman right. I just don't. Like, you'd have to really work on like Peter being a super genius. You'd have to like go into him like prepping for fights with like the different webbings, the different, spider trackers, different shit he randomly carries. Because like that's how you do it. Same issue I'd have with doing Clayface and Batman. is you have to go into, he's a detective and a scientist and he builds shit and he's got cryo capsules in his belt. You're like, it's not worth it. Do other characters. Any other characters we've already seen?
Rhino?
I say yes with Rhino. I'd like to see him. Not movie 1. Maybe movie 2 if movie 1 really takes off.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be really cool to see Rhino and, like, if we could do a Hulk cameo in a Spider-Man movie where, like, you see Spider-Man down on his luck. He physically can't hurt Rhino. And, like, the Hulk just beats him in, like, one punch. Knocks him out. Like, the Avengers show up, and, like, that's where he starts to get down on his abilities. Actually, I would save Rhino for the Venom movie. I think you do exactly what they did in the 90s cartoon. Where, like, Spider-Man can't beat the Rhino the first time they fight. Then he has the Venom symbiote, which amps him up, and he beats the hell out of the Rhino.
Yeah. It makes Rhino fucking scared. Like,
Yeah.
Wasn't he, like, begging for his life?
Well, Spider-Man's going to kill him with that metal door.
Right.
So you do something like that. I think that's how you could introduce him. I think that's how you do him right. You do him as kind of like a Hydra super soldier, and that works for the Kingpin. I think you need to move Kingpin towards becoming leader of the Hand.
Yeah.
And then use him to join Hydra, like as an alliance. And like that's how he's getting these, what did they call him in the movie for superhumans? They had a new name.
I can't remember.
Oh, it's going to bug me now. Because they kept saying it. It's like, not super powered, but...
Is it Meta?
No, that's a DC title. Like, they called Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver a bunch of times. I don't remember. But yeah, like, that's how he's getting those people. You know another character who could be cool if they wanted to do right? Is Prowler. I mean, there's a lot of Spider-Man characters I would love to see doing like little stupid cameos, like Big Wheel. I think that'd be a funny character.
Oh god, that Big Wheel.
And just like Spider-Man beat him like real quick. I don't think you would have to do him with like the giant, super-sized Big Wheel, but like
no,
if he was on like a Segway-esque Big Wheel, like robbing stuff, I think it'd be pretty funny to see Spider-Man swing down and like, kick him right out of it.
You'll never catch me, Spider-Man!
Like, you remember the South Park episode, like that super gay thing, like the sleeping up your butt? Like, all I can think of, like if he was in something not going up his rectum, but...
Oh, and you're like jerking it off and using your mouth at the same time.
Yeah, that thing. Something similar to that kind of design.
Oh yeah, similar, because that's what
General
people want to say.
Grievous's speeder bike, fine. And Spider-Man just swings through and kicks his ass out of the middle of it. Like, I would love a little montage of like Cooper-ass Spider-Villain Spider-Man could beat.
Ace Pop Pete.
I don't know, because these are Frightful Four members. I think they're with the Fantastic Four. Granted, I'm pretty damn sure Marvel's getting that license back here in a few years. I think just in time for them to run the course on everything they're doing right now.
Yeah. I'm sure if they asked, like, hey, can you use Pace Pop Pete? Who the hell's Pace Pop Pete? Thank you.
I don't know. They were kind of dickish about everything. Like, all right, super spoiler-esque warnings for Avengers in case you didn't see it. Avengers 2, I should say. Age of Ultron. The fact that, spoilers, so later, bye, because it's pretty much the end of the video anyways, but I just kind of want to bring this up as a thought point. You guys can put it in the comments if you want, like, comment, subscribe, and all that shit. Do you think that the fact that Pietro died in this movie and Fox didn't use Wanda is them kind of like a gentleman's agreement kind of thing? Like, you can have this one because they technically both had the rights to both. And Wanda is far, far, far more important to the Avengers. And Pietro is more easily done for Fox.
I never thought about it like that. That is... You know what? I think that's a good way of looking at it.
I mean, I think that's kind of what they were going for. Granted, like I said in the Avengers one, I think Pietro will eventually come back.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, maybe that's the deal, and we're not going to get him back, but...
Yeah, I would be happy with either one, because like I think he went out like a champ, like, you know.
I think that's how they wanted to do it. I think you needed to have Pietro to introduce Wanda so she could kind of start losing her powers. Remember, she was saved by the Vision, which was obviously like, that's going to be a relationship moving forward. If Marvel does that, a million and jillion cool points to Marvel if they do that, like fucking Big Ball Award, because...
Yeah, in case you guys don't understand what we're talking about,
yeah,
Vision and Scarlet Witch get married.
Yeah, and have kids, but it's through a pact with the devil. So, like I said, a billion cool points that actually go through with that story arc. And 1 trillion to DC, just like, holy shit. So, yeah, anybody who's like, oh, you guys hate DC. No, I give them more cool points that they go through with their story arc. The weird thing between, like, a machine and woman falling in love, that's been done in Hollywood. And, like, it could generally be a G movie. Like, if Wall-E had found a little fat girl to love him, anybody would have an issue with it. You get, like, a clown that cripples a teenage girl after potentially raping her. That's a far different story than a superhero movie. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think they're going to go through with either of them, but whatever. With that, guys, I think we're going to wrap up this video. I'm Dave.
I'm Super Chudge Funk.
And please leave those comments down there, guys. We want to know what you guys like to see. You like to see more videos like this, speculation. If you're only really interested in really hard news. If you guys want to see more DC talk. If you're like, I don't really care about DC talk, give us more Marvel talk. Leave that in the comments. Please leave a like. And check out some of the other videos we have. Granted, some of the news ones are kind of older, and we'll get
Not
you guys
really
more
relevant, right?
But there's other stuff on there. You know, more reviews on stuff.
Yeah, if you guys want us to be more on point with, like, more movie news, we will. I mean, just let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I watch movie talk daily. So
yeah. I check on, like, IGN and Machinima, you know. I try to keep up with the different, you know, stuff that we're into for movies. Just because, you know, it's interesting, you know, and we want to expand on that with other people that enjoy. But with that, guys, we'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good night.
Later.